A cardinal is a senior ecclesiastical leader, formally considered an ecclesiastical prince, and usually an ordained bishop of the Roman Catholic Church. The cardinals of the Church are collectively known as the College of Cardinals. The duties of the cardinals include attending the meetings of the college and making themselves available individually or in groups to the Pope as requested. Most have additional duties, such as leading a diocese or archdiocese or managing a department of the Roman Curia. A cardinal's primary duty is electing the Pope when the see becomes vacant. During the seed vacant, the day-to-day governance of the Holy See is in the hands of the College of Cardinals. The right to enter the conclave of cardinals, where the Pope is elected, is limited to those who have not reached the age of 80 years by the day the vacancy occurs. In 1059, the right of electing the Pope was reserved to the principal clergy of Rome and the bishops of the 7 suburbicarian sees. In the 12th century, the practice of appointing ecclesiastics from outside Rome as cardinals began, with each of them assigned a church in Rome as his titular church, linked with one of the suburbicarian dioceses, while still being incardinated in a diocese other than that of Rome. The term cardinal at one time applied to any priest permanently assigned or incardinated to a church, or specifically to the senior priest of an important church, based on the Latin cardo, meaning principal or chief. The term was applied in this sense as early as the 9th century to the priests of the tituli of the Diocese of Rome. The Church of England retains an instance of this origin of the title, which is held by the 2 senior members of the College of Minor Canons of St. Paul's Cathedral. History. There is disagreement about the origin of the term, but general consensus that cardinalis, from the word cardo, was first used in late antiquity to designate a bishop, a priest who was incorporated into a church for which he had not originally been ordained. In Rome, the first persons to be called cardinals were the deacons of the 7 regions of the city at the beginning of the 6th century, when the word began to mean principal, eminent, or superior. The name was also given to the senior priest in each of the title churches of Rome and the bishops of the 7 sees surrounding the city. By the 8th century, the Roman cardinals constituted a privileged class among the Roman clergy. They took part in the administration of the Church of Rome and in the papal liturgy. By a decree of a synod of 769, only a cardinal was eligible to become pope. In 1059, during the pontificate of Nicholas II, cardinals were given the right to elect the pope under the papal bull In Nomine Domini. For a time this power was assigned exclusively to the cardinal bishops, but the Third Lateran Council in 1179 gave back the right to the whole body of cardinals. Cardinals were granted the privilege of wearing the red hat by Pope Innocent IV in 1244. In cities other than Rome, the name cardinal began to be applied to certain churchmen as a mark of honor. The earliest example of this occurs in a letter sent by Pope Zacharias in 747 to Pippin III, ruler of the Franks, in which Zacharias applied the title to the priests of Paris to distinguish them from country clergy. This meaning of the word spread rapidly, and from the 9th century various episcopal cities had special class among the clergy known as cardinals. The use of the title was reserved for the cardinals of Rome in 1567 by Pius V. In the year 1563, the influential Ecumenical Council of Trent, headed by Pope Pius IV, wrote about the importance of selecting good cardinals. According to this historic council, nothing is more necessary to the Church of God than that the Holy Roman Pontiff apply that solicitude which by the duty of his office he owes the universal Church in a very special way by associating with himself as cardinals the most select persons only, and appoint to each church most eminently upright and competent shepherds, and this the more so, because our Lord Jesus Christ will require at his hands the blood of the sheep of Christ that perish through the evil government of shepherds who are negligent and forgetful of their office. The earlier influence of temporal rulers, notably the French kings, reasserted itself through the influence of cardinals of certain nationalities or politically significant movements. Traditions even developed entitling certain monarchs, including those of Austria, Spain, and Portugal, to nominate one of the trusted clerical subjects to be created cardinal, who is called crown cardinal. In early modern times, cardinals often had important roles in secular affairs. In some cases, they took on powerful positions in government. In Henry VIII's England, his chief minister was Cardinal Wolsey. Cardinal Richelieu's power was so great that he was for many years effectively the ruler of France. Richelieu's successor was also a cardinal, Jules Mazarin. Guillaume Dubois and André Hercule de Fleury complete the list of the 4 great cardinals to have ruled France. In Portugal, due to a succession crisis, one cardinal, Henry, King of Portugal, was crowned king, the only example of a cardinal king. College and Orders of Cardinal.The. Pope Sixtus V limited the number of cardinals to 70, comprising 6 cardinal bishops, 50 cardinal priests, and 14 cardinal deacons. Starting in the pontificate of Pope John XXIII, that limit has been exceeded. At the start of 1971, Pope Paul VI set the number of cardinal electors at a maximum of 120, but set no limit on the number of cardinals generally. He also established a maximum age of 80 years for electors. His action deprived 25 living cardinals, including the 3 living cardinals elevated by Pope Pius XI, of the right to participate in a conclave. Popes can dispense from church laws and have sometimes brought the number of cardinals under the age of 80 to more than 120. Pope Paul VI also increased the number of cardinal bishops by giving that rank to patriarchs of the Eastern Catholic churches. Titular church. Each cardinal takes on a titular church, either a church in the city of Rome or one of the suburbicarian sees. The only exception is for patriarchs of Eastern Catholic churches. Nevertheless, cardinals possess no power of governance, nor are they to intervene in any way in matters which pertain to the administration of goods, discipline, or the service of the titular churches. They are allowed to celebrate Mass and hear confessions and lead visits and pilgrimages to the titular churches, in coordination with the staff of the church. They often support the churches monetarily, and many cardinals do keep in contact with the pastoral staffs of the titular churches. The dean of the College of Cardinals, in addition to such a titular church, also receives the titular bishopric of Ostia, the primary suburbicarian see. Cardinals governing a particular church retain that church title and reference style. In 1630, Pope Urban VIII decreed the title to be eminence and decreed that the secular rank would equate to prince, making them secondary only to the Pope and crowned monarchs. In accordance with tradition, they sign by placing the title cardinal after their personal name and before the surname, as, for instance, John Cardo, or, in Latin, Ioan Card Cognomen. Some writers, such as James Charles Noonan, hold that, in the case of cardinals, the form used for signatures should be used also when referring to them in English. Official sources such as the Archdiocese of Milwaukee and Catholic News Service say that the correct form for referring to a cardinal in English is normally as cardinal. This is the rule given also in style books not associated with the Catholic Church. This style is also generally followed on the websites of the Holy See and Episcopal conferences. Oriental patriarchs who are created cardinals customarily used Sancta Ecclesiae Cardinalis as the full title, probably because they do not belong to the Roman clergy. In Latin, on the other hand, the cardinal order is used in the proclamation of the election of a new pope by the cardinal protodeacon. Annuntio Varbis Gaudium Magnum, Habemus Papam, Eminentissimum ac Reverendissimum Dominum Sancti Romani Ecclesiae Cardinalum, Cardinal of the Holy Roman Church. This assumes that the new pope had been a cardinal just before becoming pope. The most recent election of a non-cardinal as pope was in 1378, while the incumbents of some sees are regularly made cardinals, and some countries are entitled to at least one cardinal by concordate. No see carries an actual right to the cardinalate, not even if its bishop is a patriarch. Orders and the chief officers. Cardinal bishops are among the most senior prelates of the Catholic Church, though in modern times most cardinals are also bishops. The term cardinal bishop only refers to the cardinals who are titular bishops of one of the suburbicarian sees. In early times the privilege of papal election was not reserved to the cardinals, and for centuries the person elected was customarily a Roman priest and never a bishop from elsewhere. To preserve apostolic succession, the rite of consecrating him a bishop had to be performed by someone who was already a bishop. The rule remains that, if the person elected pope is not yet a bishop, he is consecrated by the dean of the College of Cardinals, the Cardinal Bishop of Ostia. There are 7 suburbicarian sees: Ostia, Albano, Porto and Santa Rufina, Palestrina, Sabina and Montana, Frascati and Velletri. Velletri was united with Ostia from 1150 until 1914, when Pope Pius X separated them again, but decreed that whatever cardinal bishop became dean of the College of Cardinals would keep the suburbicarian see he already held, adding to it that of Ostia, with the result that there continued to be only 6 cardinal bishops. Since 1962, the cardinal bishops have only a titular relationship with the suburbicarian sees, with no powers of governance over them. Each see has its own bishop, with the exception of Ostia, in which the cardinal vicar of the See of Rome is apostolic administrator. The current cardinal bishops of the suburbicarian dioceses are Angelo Sodano, Cardinal Bishop of Ostia and Albano, Dean of the College of Cardinals, a former Cardinal Secretary of State; Roger Echegari, Cardinal Bishop of Porto Santa Rufina, Vice Dean, President Emeritus of the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace; Giovanni Battista Re, Cardinal Bishop of Sabina Poggio Murtheto, Prefect Emeritus of the Congregation for Bishops; Francis Arenes, Cardinal Bishop of Velletri Segni, Prefect Emeritus of the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments; Tarcisio Bertone, Cardinal Bishop of Frascati, a former Cardinal Secretary of State and former Camerlengo of the Holy Roman Church; Jose Saraiva Martins, Cardinal Bishop of Palestrina, Prefect Emeritus of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints. For a period ending in the mid-20th century, long-serving cardinal priests were entitled to fill vacancies that arose among the cardinal bishops, just as cardinal deacons of 10 years standing are still entitled to become cardinal priests. Since then, cardinals have been advanced to cardinal bishop exclusively by papal appointment. Cardinal Dean. The Dean of the College of Cardinals, or Cardinal Dean, is the primus inter pares of the College of Cardinals, elected by the cardinal bishops holding suburbicarian sees from among their own number, an election, however, that must be approved by the Pope. Formerly the position of Dean belonged by right to the longest-serving of the cardinal bishops. Cardinal Patriarchs. In 1965, Pope Paul VI decreed in his motu proprio ad purpuratorum patrum that patriarchs of the Eastern Catholic churches who were named cardinals would also be part of the episcopal order, ranking after the 6 cardinal bishops of the suburbicarian sees. Patriarch cardinals do not receive title of a suburbicarian see, and as such they cannot elect the dean or become dean. There are currently 3 Eastern Patriarchs who are cardinal bishops: Nasrallah Sphir, Patriarch Emeritus of Antioch of the Maronites; Antonios Naguib, Patriarch Emeritus of Alexandria of the Copts; Becher Robertus al-Rafi, Patriarch of Antioch of the Maronites. If a Latin Rite Patriarch is made a cardinal, he ranks as a cardinal priest, not as a cardinal bishop. Cardinal priests are the most numerous of the 3 orders of cardinals in the Catholic Church, ranking above the cardinal deacons and below the cardinal bishops. Those who are named cardinal priests today are generally bishops of important dioceses throughout the world, though some hold curial positions. In modern times, the name cardinal priest is interpreted as meaning a cardinal who is of the order of priests. Originally, however, this referred to certain key priests of important churches of the Diocese of Rome, who were recognized as the cardinal priests. The important priests chosen by the Pope to advise him in his duties as Bishop of Rome. Certain clerics in many dioceses at the time, not just that of Rome, were said to be the key personnel. The term gradually became exclusive to Rome to indicate those entrusted with electing the Bishop of Rome, the Pope, while the cardinalate has long been expanded beyond the Roman pastoral clergy and Roman Curia. Every cardinal priest has a titular church in Rome, though they may be bishops or archbishops elsewhere, just as cardinal bishops are given one of the suburbicarian dioceses around Rome. Pope Paul VI abolished all administrative rights cardinals had with regard to the titular churches, though the cardinal's name and coat of arms are still posted in the church, and they are expected to celebrate Mass and preach there if convenient when they are in Rome. While the number of cardinals was small from the times of the Roman Empire to the Renaissance, and frequently smaller than the number of recognized churches entitled to a cardinal priest, in the 16th century the college expanded markedly. In 1587, Pope Sixtus V sought to arrest this growth by fixing the maximum size of the college at 70, including 50 cardinal priests, about twice the historical number. This limit was respected until 1958, and the list of titular churches modified only on rare occasions, generally when a building fell into disrepair. When Pope John XXIII abolished the limit, he began to add new churches to the list, which Popes Paul VI and John Paul II continued to do. Today there are close to 150 titular churches, out of over 300 churches in Rome. The cardinal who is the longest-serving member of the Order of Cardinal Priests is titled Cardinal Protopriest. He had certain ceremonial duties in the conclave that have effectively ceased because he would generally have already reached age 80, at which cardinals are barred from the conclave. The current cardinal protopriest is Paulo Evaristo Arns of Brazil. Cardinal deacons. The cardinal deacons are the lowest-ranking cardinals. Cardinals elevated to the diaconal order are either officials of the Roman Curia or priests elevated after their 80th birthday. Bishops with diocesan responsibilities, however, are created cardinal priests. Cardinal deacons derive originally from the 7 deacons in the papal household and the 7 deacons who supervised the Church's works in the districts of Rome during the early Middle Ages, when church administration was effectively the government of Rome and provided all social services. Cardinal deacons are given title to one of these deaconries. Cardinals elevated to the diaconal order are mainly officials of the Roman Curia holding various posts in the church administration. The number and influence has varied through the years. While historically predominantly Italian, the group has become much more internationally diverse in later years. While in 1939 about half were Italian, by 1994 the number was reduced to one-third. Their influence in the election of the Pope has been considered important. They are better informed and connected than the dislocated cardinals, but the level of unity has been varied. Under the 1587 decree of Pope Sixtus V, which fixed the maximum size of the College of Cardinals, there were 14 cardinal deacons. Later the number increased. As late as 1939, almost half of the cardinals were members of the Curia. Pius XII reduced this percentage to 24%. John XXIII brought it back up to 37%, but Paul VI brought it down to 27%, where John Paul II has maintained this ratio. As of 2005, there were over 50 churches recognized as cardinalatial deaconries, though there were only 30 cardinals of the order of deacons. Cardinal deacons have long enjoyed the right to opt for the order of cardinal priests after they have been cardinal deacons for 10 years. They may on such elevation take a vacant title, or their diaconal church may be temporarily elevated to a cardinal priest's title for that occasion. When elevated to cardinal priests, they take the precedence according to the day they were first made cardinal deacons. When not celebrating Mass but still serving a liturgical function, such as the semi-annual Urbi et Orbi papal blessing, some papal masses and some events at ecumenical councils, cardinal deacons can be recognized by the dalmatics they would don with the simple white mitre. Cardinal Protodeacon. The Cardinal Protodeacon, the senior cardinal deacon in order of appointment to the College of Cardinals, has the privilege of announcing a new pope's election and name from the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City. In the past, during papal coronations, the protodeacon also had the honor of bestowing the pallium on the new pope and crowning him with the papal tiara. However, in 1978 Pope John Paul I chose not to be crowned and opted for a simpler papal inauguration ceremony, and his three successors followed that example. As a result, the cardinal protodeacon's privilege of crowning a new pope has effectively ceased, although it could be revived if a future pope were to restore a coronation ceremony. However, the protodeacon still has the privilege of bestowing the pallium on a new pope at his papal inauguration. Acting in the place of the Roman pontiff, he also confers the pallium upon metropolitan bishops or gives the pallium to the proxies. Quote, "The current cardinal protodeacon is Renato Raffaele Martino. Cardinal protodeacons since 1911 Francesco Salzio della Volpe announced election of Pope Benedict XV. Gaetano Balti announced election of Pope Pius XI. Camillo Laurenti, Camillo Cacciadominioni announced election of Pope Pius XII. Nicola Canali announced election of Pope John XXIII. Alfredo Ottaviani announced election of Pope Paul VI. Arcadio Larrona Saralegui, CMF. William Theodore Hood, Antonio Bacci, Michael Brown, Op. Federico Calleri di Vignal, Charles Journet, Pericle Felici announced elections of Pope John Paul I and Pope John Paul II. Sergio Pignedoli, Umberto Mozzoni, Opelio Rossi, Giuseppe Caprio, Aurelio Sabatani, Durasami Simon Lourdes Sami, Eduardo Martinez Samalo, Pio Laghi, Luigi Poggi, George Medina Esteves, announced election of Pope Benedict XVI. Dario Castrion Hoyos, Agostino Cacciavillan, Jean-Louis Auran, announced election of Pope Francis. Renato Raffaele Martino, ceased to be protodeacon upon being raised to the order of cardinal priest, was protodeacon at time of death. Special types of cardinals. Camerlengo. The Cardinal Camerlengo of the Holy Roman Church, assisted by the Vice Camerlengo and the other prelates of the office known as the Apostolic Camera, has functions that in essence are limited to a period of sede vacant of the papacy. He is to collate information about the financial situation of all administrations dependent on the Holy See and present the results to the College of Cardinals, as they gather for the papal conclave. Cardinals who are not bishops. Until 1917, it was possible for someone who was not a priest, but only in minor orders, to become a cardinal, but they were enrolled only in the order of cardinal deacons. For example, in the 16th century, Reginald Pole was a cardinal for 18 years before he was ordained a priest. In 1917 it was established that all cardinals, even cardinal deacons, had to be priests, and, in 1962, Pope John XXIII set the norm that all cardinals be ordained as bishops, even if they are only priests at the time of appointment. As a consequence of these two changes, Canon 351 of the 1983 Code of Canon Law requires that a cardinal be at least in the order of priesthood at his appointment, and that those who are not already bishops must receive episcopal consecration. Several cardinals aged over 80 or close to it when appointed have obtained dispensation from the rule of having to be a bishop. These were all appointed cardinal deacons, but Roberto Tucci and Albert Van Hoy lived long enough to exercise the right of option and be promoted to the rank of cardinal priest. A cardinal who is not a bishop is still entitled to wear and use the episcopal vestments and other pontificalia. Even if not a bishop, any cardinal has both actual and honorary precedence over non-cardinal patriarchs, as well as the archbishops and bishops who are not cardinals, but he cannot perform the functions reserved solely to bishops, such as ordination. The prominent priests who since 1962 were not ordained bishops on their elevation to the cardinalate were over the age of 80 or near to it, and so no cardinal who was not a bishop has participated in recent papal conclaves. Lay cardinals. At various times, there have been cardinals who had only received first-johnshire and minor orders but not yet been ordained as deacons or priests. Though clerics, they were inaccurately called lay cardinals. Teodolfo Myrtle was among the last of the lay cardinals. When he died in 1899 he was the last surviving cardinal who was not at least ordained a priest. With the revision of the Code of Canon Law promulgated in 1917 by Pope Benedict XV, only those who are already priests or bishops may be appointed cardinals. Since the time of Pope John XXIII, a priest who is appointed a cardinal must be consecrated a bishop, unless he obtains a dispensation. Cardinals in pecta are secret cardinals. In addition to the named cardinals, the Pope may name secret cardinals or cardinals in pecta. During the Western Schism, many cardinals were created by the contending popes. Beginning with the reign of Pope Martin V, cardinals were created without publishing the names until later, termed creati e reservati in pecta. A cardinal named in pecta is known only to the Pope. Not even the cardinal so named is necessarily aware of his elevation, and in any event cannot function as a cardinal while his appointment is in pecta. Today, cardinals are named in pecta to protect them or the congregations from reprisals if their identities were known. If conditions change, so that the Pope judges it safe to make the appointment public, he may do so at any time. The cardinal in question then ranks in precedence with those raised to the cardinalate at the time of his impector appointment. If a pope dies before revealing the identity of an impector cardinal, the cardinalate expires. Of the 232 cardinals that Pope John Paul II elevated, 4 were named impector. The identities of 3 of these were subsequently revealed. Ignatius Kung Pin, Bishop of Shanghai, People's Republic of China, made Cardinal 1979, revealed 1991, died 2000. Marian Jaworski, Archbishop of Lviv, Ukraine, made Cardinal 1998, revealed 2001. Janis Pajats, Archbishop of Riga, Latvia, made Cardinal 1998, revealed 2001. The 4th cardinal was created in 2003. John Paul II did not reveal this cardinal's identity prior to his death, or in the 15-page testament he wrote during his papacy and which was released posthumously. Consequently, this cardinalate expired. Some suspect that this secret cardinal was Archbishop Stanislaw D. Wish, a close, long-time friend of John Paul II. He was made a cardinal at the March 2006 consistory by Pope Benedict XVI.